Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Kate Moriah. Mrs. Kate, how are you doing, ma?
I'm doing so well, Temi Tope. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kate. Firstly, you are an intuitive coach. Can you please, ma, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, ma?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Kate Moriah, and I am a master empath and an intuitive coach for sensitive souls. So, I tend to work with those that are consider themselves highly sensitive individuals, sensitive souls, or cosmic souls. What this can look like is like star seeds, empaths, earth angels, light workers, natural born healers, or any type of neurodivergent individual who's going through a spiritual awakening. So, going beyond the bounds of a diagnosis of ADD, ADHD, or a diagnosis of being on the autistic spectrum, finding out that there's more to who they are and what they came here to be.
Thank you, ma. And have you written any book in terms of this area, ma?
I have actually, yeah, I've written the Empowered Empath program, which you can find on Amazon, currently for sale. And essentially, the premise of the book is to take you on a journey from anxious to empowered within 9 weeks. And it gives you a step by step program to move through of how to tap into your energy, how to understand it, understand the gifts that you have, that you're more than just struggles and sensitivities and a diagnosis, and that there's more that is able to be developed there. And so once we're able to tap into that, the book then walks you through different exercises and areas to investigate within yourself in order to understand what are your psychic abilities, what are your soul gifts, what are your healing abilities, what are your special interests and passions, and how can you create a formula that allows you to channel your highest gifts and abilities and shine your light the brightest in the world, fulfilling you and offering help and assistance to others in need.
Mm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kate. And I also go across your profile. And you said your goal is to help, people discover their sensitivities and their gift from God, which are meant to be shared. Can you please, ma,
Yeah.
discuss more on that, ma?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we all have something within us, and it's an inner knowing, it's an intuition, it's an understanding, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer for some of us than others to really know what we're meant to do and what our strengths and our talents are and how we're supposed to show up in the world. And sometimes we need a little bit of assistance and guidance in chipping away at other influences or other ideas that may not necessarily align with already what's organically there. And so, what I find with working with my clients, my students, my viewers, and followers is that they have been on a journey where they have always suffered from having a high degree of sensitivity. And what this can look like is, being overly sensitive to external stimulation, to other people, their moods, their emotions, different environments, different circumstances, even harsh lighting or chemicals or toxins or certain types of foods, right? We can have sensitivities that run the gamut, and if we are not understanding of these sensitivities, it can feel like a burden, a problem, a disease, an ailment, a negative diagnosis, and ultimately a life sentence. And that keeps us stuck, that keeps us disconnected from knowing who we are and knowing ourselves. When I have also had this journey as well, where I lived the majority of my life, decades of my life, feeling burdened and struggling in anxiety and depression and feeling lost and confused and just kind of getting swept up in the current of life without any real true direction until I started working on myself. I had my own spiritual awakening where I was able to develop a much more deeper connection to God, the universe, and all that is, and heal my heart and heal my perspective on myself. And what I found through this journey is that I'm not the only one who felt like this. There are so many others. It astounds me that also feel this feeling of being lost, of not being understood by even the people closest to them, right? Family of origin, people that we grew up around, feeling like the black sheep of the family, feeling like we're just never really seen for who we truly are, never really understood. And there might be a degree of truth in there of not really understanding ourselves. So, what I've dedicated my life to, my life's work, is not only developing myself and tapping into finding out these struggles and these challenges and these, oversensitivities that I've had in my life. How do I actually turn this into a superpower? And what I found is by inviting God into every step of my journey, I feel that I have been able to somewhat crack a code and create a map or a path to help assist other souls and empaths and star seeds and earth angels and other sensitive individuals, that they're able to tap into their soul gifts as well. And so, how we can do this is I've created a series of questions and exercises and training that ultimately allows you to just scratch the surface, because you are a beautiful creation of God. You are an infinite well of potential and wisdom and possibility. And each and every person has so much to offer as long as they, to put it simply, stay in their lane, right? Not expecting us, like, I am not built to be a football player, but if I expect myself to be a football player, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to do well, right? I'm not going to be very good at it. But if I see my strengths of, hey, I'm here to help people and I'm here to actually lean into my sensitivities and learn more about why am I so dang sensitive? Why is this such a consistent thread throughout my life? Why does this keep coming up and asking for attention? I'm learning, oh, there's actually something more here. There's some wisdom here that I can tap into. And it turns out that developing that, I'm actually pretty darn good at what I do. And I help a lot of people, which is very fulfilling for me. So I'm very passionate about teaching others and helping others to confidently identify their soul gifts and their psychic abilities, and recognizing that the way that they're wired is not a problem, but it's actually, in fact, if anything, an obstacle course for you to navigate and work through in order to discover who you are, what you came here to be, and what kind of magic do you have when you shine your light. What kind of magic do you have that is directly connected to source, universe, God, oneness, that you're able to emanate and shine out into the world around you in order to support, assist, and help others? So if you'd like, I can actually get into some of the questions and the prompts that I would begin asking someone so that they can do a little bit of self exploration and develop a line of self inquiry to start this process of identifying their soul gifts. Would you like that?
Sure, I definitely like that, Mrs. Gates.
Okay, awesome. So one of the tools that I use is, it's a lot of self-reflection, self-analysis, meditation, going within, looking within, because a lot of times the world that we live in, it's very loud, it's very distracting. There's a lot of things that our attention can be taken from us. It can be stolen. There's a lot that wants our money, it wants our vote, it wants our energy, it wants, all of our time, our boundaries, all of it. So the first step is for us to really make it a priority and take the time to go within, to spend time, to sit in silence, to sit in contemplation, to invite God or our angels. Or, and I'm using the term God, but I want everyone who's listening, every single person has their own personal relationship and understanding of who God is to them, right? So your connection of who and what you believe in, whether you just believe in your own higher self, you believe in angels, you believe in Buddha, Allah, Jesus, whoever, whatever is right for you. This work operates outside of the bounds of psychology and religion. So this is really truly all about understanding self in a brand new way. And so you start off with meditation. You start off with setting the time aside, whether it to be sit down and journal, sit down and listen to some binaural beats or solfeggio frequencies. You can find these for free on YouTube, where you just allow the frequencies, you allow it to help clear your mind, calm your mind. And what I would recommend is starting off by doing a little bit of journaling. So get a pen and a paper, it doesn't have to be fancy, and spend some time reflecting on these following questions. So, how to identify your soul gifts and psychic abilities? I would love for you to initially start off with reflecting on your past experience. What do you think, if I were to ask you, what do you think your strongest soul gift could be? What do you think it could be? What's the first thing that comes to mind? What are you just naturally good at? What are you naturally into? It doesn't have to be anything impressive or fancy. It could be, I'm really good at cooking muffins. you know, I'm really good at being a good neighbor. I'm always very friendly when I see my neighbors, right? So it could be something as simple as that. But based on your life, based on your past experience, what do you think your strongest soul gift could be? I'd spend some time reflecting on that and seeing what comes up for you. And I'd move forward onto another question. What are three insecurities that you've struggled with throughout your life? So, three areas that maybe you felt a perceived weakness, like, oh, I'm not really good at math, right? So, I'm really insecure if I have to do math really quickly or in front of anyone else, or if I have to, figure out numbers of an equation, I'm very insecure. Or I've always been very tall. I've been taller than the rest of my friends, and so I felt very insecure, right? Because they would always, growing up, make fun of me for being so tall. Whatever it is, right? So, what are three insecurities that you've struggled with? And we're not going to analyze it yet. We're not going to do anything with it. We're just going to write this down. So, we're just going to give yourself the space to allow these answers to come up, and we're going to write this down. Then I would ask you, what were some of your childhood interests? So, what were some things that you were interested in as a kid? Did you love, looking for animals and insects? Did you love playing sports? Did you love hanging out with mom in the kitchen and cooking and making food? Did you love making your own toys? What were some things that you were very, very interested in? Did you love hanging out with the elders of your family or your neighborhood or your community or your village? What were some of the interests and passions and things that you genuinely enjoyed throughout your childhood? And I would spend some time listing out as many as just whatever comes to mind. So if you have three, if you have 10, I would just list as many as whatever comes to mind. And then I would ask you, what life lessons have come up for you repeatedly? What life lessons have come up for you repeatedly? So when you think back, man, I'm always partnering up with people who end up stealing money from me, or, um, I end up falling in love with people who don't feel the same way about me. Or another example might be, every time I start a new project, I don't finish it, or I open a new business and I don't do anything with it. So notice, what are these patterns that have been coming up for you in your life? These patterns, these honestly, they can be more like painful patterns, right? Because there's always a lesson in pain. So what are the painful patterns that you've noticed that have come up in your life recently? Maybe it's one main lesson, maybe you can think of a few. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of time diving into it or working through the emotions around it. We're just going to write this down just to acknowledge what these lessons are. Next, I would ask you, what are three strengths that you use effortlessly in your everyday life? So, something that just comes so naturally, you don't even think about it. It's just second nature. You wake up and no one has to tell you to do it, no one has to pay you to do it. You're just excited to do it. What is something that you find is just second nature? Are you naturally helpful? Do you find when you're out in town and you see an old woman with heavy shopping bags, do you run over and offer to help her carry them? And this is just something that you would do anyway, if no one asked you to. Do you tend to pick up litter? If you see things on the ground, and even if no one is around and looking at you, you would pick it up anyway because you love the planet, you love the earth, and you want to take good care of her. And seeing litter frustrates you. Do you spend a lot of time researching? Are you super passionate about, medical topics, or, astronomy topics, or Do you dive into English composition? Are you super passionate about something that you just naturally spend a lot of time focusing on? So, what are three strengths that you effortlessly use in your everyday life? Then I would ask you, do you have reoccurring thoughts or dreams about a specific idea? So, is there an idea or a dream or a vision that you have that, whether you think it's realistic or practical or not, whether you think it's going to happen or not, doesn't matter? Is there something that you hold, whether it be in the back of your mind or deep within your heart, that you hold on to no matter what life brings you, no matter what happens in your life? Now, this could mean you have a vision to open up a dog shelter and provide, meals and a comfortable, safe place for all the homeless dogs that you see in your area. And you just feel so passionate about helping these animals. Now, you may not know how that's going to happen, if that's going to happen, when that's going to happen, but it's just something that lights you up and it makes you feel passionate. Or do you feel passionate about starting creating a documentary, or is there a topic of information, rabbit hole of information that you've fallen into and you want to build a documentary or build some kind of educational system around something, and you don't know how you're going to do it, or you don't know how this would even come together, but it's just something that you feel so passionate about? Do you feel passionate about being on stage and you don't even know what you're going to talk about or how people are going to accept you, or even if you're good at it, but you just see yourself on stage one day? What is it? What is it that you have within you that keeps popping up, that it's hard for you to let go? No matter how much your life changes, no matter how much your circumstances change, this is a dream that you have had for as long as you can remember, that keeps coming up. Write those down. Now, what I would recommend is, once you spend time feeling through these questions and allowing the answers to come up and really truly reflecting on what you've said about yourself, right? What you've written, you actually have an excellent starting point to now start recognizing a pattern. Are you noticing any patterns emerge? Are you noticing that there's a theme to anything, a theme of talents, a theme of strengths, a theme of skills? And that is how I would recommend you start. From there, you can continue to spend more time. You can spend more days if you'd like. You can make this a regular practice where you spend some time with journal prompts. And you can prompt yourself within your journal, asking yourself, or starting off these journal prompts by completing this sentence. Or you can start, "My favorite way to spend the day is," or you can use 10 words to describe yourself, or you can make a list of 30 things that make you smile. Or you can ask yourself, how does spirit communicate with me or through me? How do I hear God? How do I feel my ancestors? How do I connect with my angels and my guardians? How do they talk to me and deliver messages and information through me? You can ask yourself, how do I usually connect with other people? Do you like to connect only online? Do you like to, only text your friends? Do you love to see people in person? Do you like to pick up the phone and have a real conversation? Right? Reflecting with, what is your preferred method of connection with other people? You can ask yourself, what role do I usually align with in group settings? Personally, for me, I tend to be the mother of the group, right? I like to take care of everyone. I like to feed everyone. I like to make sure everyone is well rested and that they make sure that they know how much I love them. That's my role in my friend group. People come to me for the advice that a mother would give, right? So how do you show up in the throes of your social groups, or even your family? So these are some really excellent starting points to get a deeper understanding of yourself, because truthfully, no one is going to ask you these questions on a day-to-day basis. Unless you're going to a therapist or you're working with a coach, no one is going to prompt this information to come out of you. This is our responsibility to take the time to dig through this within ourselves and allow this to come up. Now, if you find something truly interesting here that you want to continue exploring and you want to continue identifying what are your actual soul gifts? Like, do you have the gift of a teacher? Do you have the gift of a leader, a communicator, a nurturer, artist, analyzer, manager, empath? There's so many different soul gifts and soul gift archetypes that you can assign to yourself, or you can resonate with yourself. I actually have a chart, a dowsing chart that you can download for free on my website. And Temitope, I can actually send you the link so you can share that with your listeners just to make
Sure,
it easier. But they can then take it a step further and do some more digging for themselves.
sure. I would like to have that. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kate. You explained every single step. I was just listening carefully because I was like, wow, this really makes sense. Thank you so much, ma. And
Oh,
I
you're so
don't
welcome,
know,
honey.
it's going to really take much time to bring those details out. And do you
Yeah,
personally see if there will be common obstacles or challenge that could come out if someone wants to bring this type of information from his or her mind?
absolutely. There's quite a bit actually, which is probably why you've gone so far in your life without really knowing this information about yourself, right? Because think about it, it's like, well, this is you. This is you. And we can go through our lives and we know what color our eyes are, we know what color our hair is, we know our shoe size, we know these other things about ourselves. Why don't we know the truth of our soul? Why don't we know what's going on within our natural soul's abilities and skill sets, right? So these are not things that are really drawn out of us often. So we have to go hunting and digging for them. And you might find when you start doing this inner work, when you start looking at yourself, that there are challenges and obstacles that come up, like fear. You might be afraid of, oh my god, what am I going to find? What if I don't have any? What if I'm not good at anything? Or what if I'm what I have to offer the world nobody wants? Or you can actually discover things about yourself that you don't even see yourself in that way. You might not have that confidence. So let's say you're doing this work. Let's say you go through these journal prompts and you go through this line of questioning. And let's say you download my dowsing chart for soul gifts and you find out, oh my gosh, I'm a leader. I'm a teacher. I'm a manager. I'm a counselor. Wait a second. I don't know about this, right? I don't know if I want to put myself out in front of people. I don't know if I trust myself to give anyone the right information or good advice, right? So we can come up with lack of confidence or feelings of inadequacy. But then we can also have like programming and indoctrination from our upbringing, our family, the world around us, right? Society, culture, influence, where someone might not even take this journey at all because they write it off as woo woo, or they write it off as new age, or maybe they've been brought up in a very, very strict religious upbringing and they're like, anything outside of the Bible is, devil worship. And they can have these genuine fears come up that really prevent themselves from looking inwards and tapping into the wisdom within. And that's why I always say that this work is totally outside of the bounds of psychology. It's totally outside of the bounds of religion. You are working with your own innate wisdom so that you're able to move through any fears or any challenges or any struggles that come up. And the other thing that could be a challenge as well is we are often a byproduct of our environment. So if you are hanging around people that don't celebrate you, they don't support you, they don't uplift you, they don't believe in you, they don't cheer you on, and they don't want you to grow, they want you to stay small, they want to control you, they want to keep you in a predictable pattern or repetitive energy. Anything that you do to improve yourself or develop yourself or empower yourself and strengthen your sensitivities will be upsetting to these individuals. And so some people might struggle on developing themselves and actually like finding out, hey, I'm pretty awesome. I actually have a lot to offer. I have a lot of gifts and talents and strengths, but my mom doesn't like it when I do stuff like this, or my spouse is feeling threatened that I'm spending so much time meditating when they think that I should be, watching sports with them or whatever. Right. So there's a lot of barriers that will tempt you to give up and walk away from this. But again, it's really up to you. This is all about your journey of empowerment and self development and really understanding yourself, knowing yourself more deeply. Because when you know, when you are absolutely certain, beyond a shadow of a doubt, you know who you are and what you're here to do and what you're working with, no one can take that from you. No, they can try and change your mind, but that truth, it's woven into the fabric of your soul. It will not change. And the more you know, the more you learn, it's going to just get louder and louder and louder within you until you start to embody that and practice that in your daily life. So I thoroughly encourage individuals that feel that passion, that need to grow into their greatness, to start off strong and stay committed to self.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kate. And lastly, there's a question I normally ask ma, just in short said this. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, if
Yeah.
there's anything you would like to possibly bring back to our time today, what do you
Mm.
think that thing will be, ma?
Well, that is a beautiful question. Thank you. And I love that so much because I work so closely with my ancestors. And I don't just see my ancestors as people within my own bloodline.
Okay.
I look at ancestors like the ancestors of humanity, all of the human souls that have come before me. And the result of this world is the byproduct of those who have come before us. So what they tend to focus on whenever I'm connecting with the ancestors and working with them is highlighting wisdom and gratitude. Gratitude for taking the wisdom and releasing the pain of the past. Because just like I said, in every bit of pain, there is a lesson. And through every difficulty, through every challenge, through every sacrifice, through every battle, through every war, there has been a lesson. And if we don't learn the lesson, the pain does repeat. So the ancestors are often very vocal about bringing through the gratitude of thank you for taking and gleaning the wisdom and pulling the lesson and the information and learning from it. So you don't have to repeat the pain. You don't have to repeat the pain of the past. You don't have to carry that forward. So that would be the message that I would leave you with today, my friend, is to take the lesson and to leave the pain in the past.
Mm. Miss Kate, I want to personally thank you. I am so happy and glad for this information. Every detail you brought out, it's making me really relieved and thrilled. Thank you so much, ma.
Oh, honey, you're so welcome. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you again for having me on your podcast.
All right, ma. Bye bye.
Bye bye.